Are you ready to embark on a journey of exploration and unlock the magic of your wonder? There is so much more in the universe than we have been shown. It is time to ask those questions, dissolve those barriers, and embrace your extraordinary life. Here is your fellow explorer in the realm of curiosity and discovery, with almost 20 years of inviting people to embrace the greatness of them, Donnielle Carter.
Hello and welcome all my friends. I have a question for you this morning, this evening, this afternoon, wherever you are in the world and whatever time it is. But the question is, what if that thing that you've kept looking for, the permission, the validation, the sign, is actually you, right? Have you ever noticed how easy it is to see the magic in somebody else? But it's weirdly uncomfortable and a little taboo to acknowledge our own? Well, what if you don't need to become somebody new to be extraordinary? What if you just need to stop arguing with who you are and see the brilliance of you are, because you are brilliant and you are magical and you actually deserve everything that you desire? Today we're exploring, what if you are the gift? Spoiler alert, you are. And welcome to the Exploration of Wonder. I am your host and fellow explorer, Donnielle Carter, nationally board certified health and wellness coach, intuitive empowerment coach, and really your biggest fan. I used to pretend I didn't like people, and now what? You know what? I really do, and that includes you. Even if we have never met, I always desire the best for you, more than sometimes we even ask for ourselves, which is really what we're talking about today. I do find it interesting how that word taboo comes up when talking about, well, what if we're a gift, right? Because that's when people go, well, who do you think you are? And, oh, don't you have an ego, or you think a lot of yourself, don't ya? Well, let me dispel one of the biggest myths right here, right now. Thinking you're amazing, acknowledging your brilliance, acknowledging the gift that you are to the world shouldn't diminish anybody else. I mean, if you're doing it with, I'm cool and I'm better than you because you're not as cool as I am, don't be a douche, okay? That's just being mean. That's just being a dick. That is not being anything. Don't do that. What you should be able to do is like, I am a gift and you are a gift. Each person's uniqueness does not diminish another person's. It does not make you superior at all either. It just makes you the unique gift that you are. So I just wanted to dispel that myth right away. I am not talking about you have to walk around going, I should have a crown, I'm superior. Well, okay, we should all have crowns because we're all crown worthy, but it doesn't make us superior. It doesn't make us better. It just makes us the beautiful, unique that we are. So today's show is really about getting you to acknowledge, get around those taboos, those who do you think you are, and oh, you think highly of yourself, and that word ego, because I've done a lot of studying and people talk about ego, and I'm like, I love how a lot of people like paint themselves with ego who don't have an ego, yet people with egos think they don't have one. That's another show. Don't even get me sidetracked on it. Right. But today we're going to help get around that ego that we have been saddled with so that we can actually look at the gift we are. Because, my friend, the world, all the world consciousness itself is asking for you is to be the full, true you. Because each of us is here to be a gift. And the less you think of yourself, whether it's just like talents and capacities, or the less we think of ourselves, like as in we put ourselves last, the less we have of ourselves to share with the world. And that, I think, is actually one of the biggest selfish things. Because a lot of people think like, oh, if you think of yourself like, oh yeah, I'm pretty cool, I'm pretty talented. They're like, oh, well, aren't you just selfish? Or, oh, well, I'm not going to do this because I need to do this for myself. They're like, oh, you're selfish. No, I think the ultimate selfish is not sharing the full brilliance and scope of your unique outlook, capacities, talents. That is the most selfish thing, is to not share that with the world. So that's what we're talking about today, is to get you to the place where you're like, oh yeah, I'm pretty cool, and you're cool, and we're all cool. What would the world be like if we could all acknowledge ourselves while not having the fear that it would diminish somebody else? Okay. And also, side note, we're not a gift because we do a lot, right? A lot of people think that. I see a lot of people who are like, well, I do a lot, I give a lot, and that gives me a value. No, you just give a lot and do a lot. Awesome. Some people have that capacity more than others. But you don't have to buy your value. You don't have to earn your value. You have value and self-worth just because we're here. It's something we innately be. I'm not saying don't do charity. Please do charity. But if you're looking at doing charity at the expectation of getting something back, that's transactional, and it actually kind of diminishes that outreach that you're doing. You should be able to give just because you have something to give and it's a sheer delight. And there are a lot of people who do that because it's a sheer delight and they're not expecting something back. But a lot of people are. A lot of people are. I was raised in a religion. And so one of the pillars of the religion was, I'm going to charity, right? Charity was one of the pillars of the religion. And so giving to charity is great. A lot of people I knew in the church were doing charity to earn their place in heaven. And I'm like, even as a kid, I was like, don't you think that weighs in if you're expecting something back for it? And like, no, it's the action that counts. Well, I'm here today, my friends, to pose, what if it's just you who counts? And then everything else is cream. And how much sweeter will those acts of charity be when you're not smearing the people or things you're giving to with an expectation of return? That if you're truly just giving, how much sweeter will that be? Okay. 'Tis the season, right? I guess there's my tangent. All right. So, pardon me while I take a quick drink. All right. So, why is it so uncomfortable to see ourselves as the gift? Well, most of us have been taught very early on that love, approval, and belonging were conditional. It's more that transactional thing that I was talking about, right? Anybody else get praised when they did their chores? Yeah. For being quiet, I was that one. It's like, sit down, be quiet. Unfortunately, I embodied that for like 20 years after. But anyway. But you got acknowledged or praised for being talented, for being agreeable, for being impressive. Okay. And kind of like, I did a show last week called, oh golly, what show did I do last week? I can't remember the name, but it was basically how we have learned behaviors. And they were only looking for the dopamine at the end, right? Wow, I really am blanking on the show last week. Anyway, so we have this thing where we only celebrate the end. The curse of all or nothing. Thank you, Christine. I love you. It's the curse of all or nothing, where we're only celebrating and getting that dopamine hit at the end. Well, using that same concept as for looking at if you're the gift or not, how many of us when we were kids, when the chores were done, we got the praise. We got the role in the play, we got the praise, we got the celebration. We were basically taught, or, like, I had this thing when I was a kid in grade school that if your area was clean and you sat there quietly, the teacher would call on you to go get a prize from the big bucket. And so it was my goal every week is to get a prize from the bucket, right? And so I had to do to get that praise. So what's the underlying energy of all this? Because, for me, that's where everything lies, is the underneath energy. And so what the underlying energy of all this is if you do enough, show up enough, you'll get it, the celebration, the acknowledgement of you at the end. Okay? And so subtly, what does this teach us in our formative years? What does this teach us? That you're valuable if you perform and only if you succeed. We are not taught that we are just valuable because we exist. We are not acknowledged. I mean, this is a general blanket statement. I know there's some parents out there who have the capacity, and this is not to make parents wrong or grandparents wrong. They were doing what they are taught. This is a generational thing. It's not just like your parents, half of my parents. Oh, good golly. Apparently, even if your phone is on Do Not Disturb, WhatsApp can come through and do a phone call. So sorry for that little startle, but apparently somebody decided to call me for a moment. I'll call them back later. I'm busy with you. We're creating a different world. All right, my friends. So half of my parents were able to be like, okay, well, you're cool just because you exist. The other half of my parents were, well, what have you done today? So once again, just to reiterate, what that does is it tells us that we are only valuable when we perform. We are only worth something if we can contribute in a very dynamic, proof-worthy way. Well, I'm here to tell you, you're the gift. And what's interesting is when I say this, even though you're not in my office with me, I know so many people contracted. A lot of people will be like, okay, yeah, Donnielle, you don't know me. I'm not the gift. Or they go, okay, Donnielle, but why am I the gift? This is not about why. Because that goes back to where we have to prove. That goes back to where we have to show our work and prove our value, right? There is no why you're a gift. You just are. You are valuable because you exist. I guarantee, my friend, even though a lot of you I have not met in person or on a session or on a class, I can 100 confidently say the world is better off because you're in it. Plain and simple. You don't have to be some big philanthropic, big word this morning, philanthropic person, because sometimes the biggest charity is just smiling at another person. Because how many people go through this world thinking that they're not seen? And so when you talk to a cashier or you walk by somebody in the street and you just smile and nod and see them, it's amazing how many people's worlds go, oh, I'm seen. I am not invisible. I have enough value that somebody else recognizes me. It is absolutely amazing and astonishing. I have a challenge for you all. When you go out next time, see people. And I don't mean you have to be like, hold a 5, 10, or in my brother-in-law's case, a 15, 20-minute conversation each time. Just be that, hey, hi, smile, nod, right? Watch their universe light up. Watch their universe light up. It is so fascinating to see people just go, oh, hi, and then I move on, I never see him again. It's kind of fun. And in that way, you are a gift, not because you've done a lot, but just because you are in the world and you saw another person, okay? Because here's the thing. We're going to talk, eventually we're going to go to a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a lot about ego, okay? Because this is where the ego comes in. Because also when I said, hey, you know what? You're a gift. Even if I've never met you, you're a gift. Some people contract, some people get scared, some people want to know why, some people panic. This is all the judgment. This is all the ego. This is all that place where it's like, well, I haven't done anything to have value. You exist. That's why you have value. I know I'm going to say that a lot. My body doesn't like alcohol, but you could totally turn this show into a drinking game, because the number of times I say, no, you're a gift, or no, you have value simply because you exist, you could take a shot and you'd be drunk by the end of the call, because you're a gift and you have value just because you exist, just to get the juice flowing. All right, my friend, we're going to take our first little break. And when we come back, we're going to get into the ego aspect of it. And I love the energy when I say ego, because we've made it such a good, but required, but horrible thing. So we're going to dive into that just a little bit and see how the ego, while it may be a required thing, really screws us up. All right, my friends, you are listening to or watching the Exploration of Wonder with me, your host, Donnielle, on the Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
Ever feel like there's more to life than meets the eye? A sense of wonder just beyond your grasp? Are you ready to create a life that inspires you so much that each day you are excited to wake up and live it? Join Donnielle Carter, a nationally board-certified health and wellness coach, weekly as she explores the universe on the exploration of wonder. Explore everything from harnessing the power of your mindset to connecting with your intuition and harnessing the energetic forces around us. With a blend of humor, warmth, directness, and a dash of cheekiness, Donnielle shares easy-to-use, pragmatic, yet magical techniques you can implement immediately to infuse your life with wonder. Join us as we navigate the fascinating landscapes of the seen and unseen, and together create lives filled with joy, purpose, and boundless possibility.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Exploration of Wonder with your guide, Donnielle. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to hello@donnielle.com. Now back to the exploration.
Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back to the Exploration of Wonder with me, your host and fellow explorer, Donnielle Carter. I am so excited you're here with me today, because you're a brilliant gift that you are. Because you have value just because you exist. If you listen to the first segment, now you know it's time to take a shot. I think it's interesting how I've created a body that doesn't like alcohol, but I'm really good at creating drinking games. Random talents. Anyway, today we're talking about what if you are the gift? Because guess what? You are the gift. And my producers are drinking. I wish. They wish, maybe. All right, so what if you're the gift? I know when I said in the first segment, hey, you are a gift just by being here. A lot of contraction happened, a lot of panic, a lot of like, well, tell me why I am. Because I can't possibly think this about myself, because that would mean I'm selfish. That would mean that think I'm superior, I'm creating separation, or all of this kind of stuff, right? And this is where we enter the realm of the ego, which kind of like salt has gotten a bad rap. Ego isn't inherently bad. So let me read a few things of like what the ego actually is in Freudian psychology. Basically, it manages desires, reality, consciousness, or conscience, deciding how to satisfy needs in socially acceptable ways. It includes your self-image, identity, and ability to plan and make decisions. Okay, it's the mediator. But in common understanding in spiritual views, it's your sense of self, right? In mindfulness, the ego can be the false self, and it's those things that we define ourselves as. I am a doctor. I am a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, right? It's something I do. It's not something I am. So, and we get this to where the ego gets exacerbated, right? People go crazy with it. And then that's where it comes off as arrogance, superiority, or being overly concerned with like their image. And it's not even a true image, it's a false image. Don't even get me started on social media, okay? And then also an excessive desire of validation. Okay, so here's the thing. Your ego can be a sense of self. And yet with so many fun things that we do in the world, we bastardize it. Yay! And it becomes this horrible thing that we must avoid or not use, right? So we're going to talk about ego a little bit, but we're also kind of setting it aside because we're really going to look at like the core of ego is who are you? Ego is knowing of yourself, and then it helps you make decisions and kind of stuff. Okay. But the bastardization of ego says something like, if I don't, I am superior because I make more money. I am superior because I give more. I am better than you because I don't think about myself. I only think about other people while secretly being upset about it or, like resenting it, right? So when someone like me comes along and says, hey, you know what, you're the gift just for existing, somebody with a bastardized sense of ego go, but I've worked hard for all of this, right? Ego is the part of us that's learned how to survive. Well, let me say, ego isn't confidence. Ego is protection. It's the part of us that learned how to survive judgment, rejection, comparison, and shame. But in that protection, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because I would love to say it's an ideal world, but have any of you ever been judged? I'm just going to assume all of you are like, well, yeah. And this is where the bastardization comes in. Because somebody with a good sense of ego, if somebody comes up to them and judges them for being a jerkwad, I think that's, it could be male or female or non-binary, right? If somebody comes up and judges you for being a jerkwad, a person with a proper sense of ego, knowing thyself, can look at that and go, no, okay, no thank you. But if we're bastardized, if it's twisted in any way, which is where most of us sit, we sit there and go, no, I'm not, And then we have to go and try to prove that we are not. Which, in a weird, energetic way, we first have to understand what that would look like and create it so that we know and can defend how we are not that. I know that's a head twister. Don't worry about it. You can listen to that part again. But, so it protects us from the judgment. Somebody with a true good sense of ego, a sense of self, look at that and goes, no, and doesn't make their judgment of you significant. Okay? But here's where more of the bastardization comes in. Because we want to have this humility sense of ego. I don't have an ego. Well, we all do. It's just when it becomes like overgrown or bastardized that we get into an issue. Because all of us should have a sense of who we are at our core, and not those definitions, not a lot of those I ams, like I am a doctor, I am a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, I am a mother, I am a father, I am gay, straight, anything like that. Because those are things that we do and be, sure. But at the core, it's just who we are, of like, and it's really interesting. Sorry, I'm delving into something here, but if you have never actually looked at who the core of you are without trying to fit into labels, it's a fascinating exploration. So I challenge you to do that too. And look at it. It's like, if you're looking at, so the challenge is, let me get clear. The challenge is to discover the core of who you are, the core value, the core of you. And if you find yourself trying to use descriptive words, I am a mother, I'm a father, I am my job, I am the youngest sister, I am the peacekeeper, those are things you can do, but it's not necessarily who the core value of you are. So I think it'd be interesting to see. And if you find a fascinating list, drop me a line at hello@donnielle.com. I would love to learn more about the core of who you are. All right, so back to the ego. The ego says things, bastardized ego says things like, if I don't show who I am and claim my light, my inner core, then I can't be criticized for it. And what's interesting is a lot of people, they fear that criticism, because if they're criticized for it, then they think it's not true, or they have to prove it's true. Again, back to that, if you have that true sense of worth, if somebody calls you a jerkwad, you just go, okay, have a good day. You don't have to prove it. You don't have to react to it. So, but a bastardized ego says, if I don't claim my light, I can't be criticized for it. So we hide ourselves for fear of it's not true, or because it'll be obliterated by somebody else's judgment. Let me say this really straight. Nobody can obliterate you without your permission. Okay? So when you have that true sense of self, it doesn't, other people's judgments, while annoying and some can cut deep, I get it, it's not who you are. Okay? The ego, the bastardized ego also says, if I stay small, I stay safe. If I downplay myself, no one can accuse me of thinking I'm better than I am. And isn't it interesting that one of the things that we have made worst in the world is for somebody to go, oh, you think you're better than you think you are, right? Or, like, I have some friends who, they think very highly of themselves, confident, and then people go, oh, he's so narcissistic. Oh, we love our terms, right? We love our definitions. And I am not downplaying psychology. I've studied a lot. I find it fascinating. And there is absolutely some truth, and there is some squishy parts that we should probably not use. Okay, but with ego, here's the quiet truth. Diminishing yourself doesn't make you kind. It just makes you invisible and susceptible. And that is exhausting. Okay, I'll say that again. Diminishing yourself doesn't make you kind. It just makes you invisible and susceptible. Anti-consciousness, unconsciousness in the world, it wants us to be susceptible. Well, having a strong sense of self makes you not susceptible. Okay, we'll let that sit there for a minute. Let me ponder that. It's kind of fun. Okay. So, really quickly, what is the difference between ego and essence? Like the essence of who you are. Ego wants to prove, the bastardization of ego wants to prove. Essence is you simply are, which is why I keep saying, hey, you know what? You're a gift just because you exist on this planet. You don't have to do anything, talk to anybody. Just your very presence changes things, okay? The ego, a bastardized ego asks, how am I being perceived? How do I measure up? Am I doing this right? Where essence is just what feels true to me. What expands not only me, but the world at large. And what would I like to express? Okay. So when we talk about being a gift, I'm not talking about titles, accomplishments, followers, or that output, right? We're talking about just you being you. You walking through the world and contributing whatever it is you have to contribute, even if it's just a choice. Because in that great scheme of consciousness, quantum field, oneness, even if you never talk to a person and you make a choice, that choice becomes available for everybody else to choose as well. You don't have to preach it. You don't have to give examples of it. But in that interconnected oneness that we all are, the second you have an idea, a concept, you make a choice, it becomes available for everybody to perceive it and have it because it's in your universe. And that's honestly one of the gifts of true, like the oneness that we are, all right? So once again, the gift that you are does not come from effort, does not come from accomplishments. It just comes from you being you, allowing yourself to be seen. It doesn't mean you have to stand on a stage, but just show up in the universe. Even if nobody visually looks at you, are you willing to be seen by the universe and show up and allow the essence of who you are to be that contribution to the universe and consciousness itself? I'm going to assume you said yes, and I'm going to celebrate that, all right? And on that note, we're going to go into our next break. And my friend, if you are enjoying this topic, if you're enjoying this show, if my rambles haven't sent you running, screaming away, please do consider going to your favorite platform and looking for the Exploration of Wonder with me, Donnielle Carter, and rating and reviewing. And if you feel like giving a 5-star rating, that would be amazing. Thank you. But again, it's not about my ego, but what it is about the algorithm. It's telling the algorithm, hey, you know what? I enjoyed this content and I think this content would be enjoyed by other people. So please share it. So if that reads for you, please do take a moment and rate, share, and comment on the Exploration of Wonder. I would be so grateful. All right, my friends, I haven't said it yet. You are a gift. And not because of what you do, but because you just exist. And we are exploring this today on the Exploration of Wonder on Inspired Choices Network. And we'll be right back.
Ever feel like there's more to life than meets the eye? A sense of wonder just beyond your grasp? Are you ready to create a life that inspires you so much that each day you are excited to wake up and live it? Join Donnielle Carter, a nationally board-certified health and wellness coach, weekly as she explores the universe on the Exploration of Wonder. Explore everything from harnessing the power of your mindset to connecting with your intuition and harnessing the energetic forces around us. With a blend of humor, warmth, directness, and a dash of cheekiness, Donnielle shares easy-to-use, pragmatic, yet magical techniques you can implement immediately to infuse your life with wonder. Join us as we navigate the fascinating landscapes of the seen and unseen, and together create lives filled with joy, purpose, and boundless possibility.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Exploration of Wonder with your guide, Donnielle. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to hello@donnielle.com. Now back to the exploration.
Welcome back, my friend, to the Exploration of Wonder. I am your host and fellow explorer, Donnielle Carter, and if you have an idea for a show topic, I would love to hear it. What are you curious about? What are you wondering about? What would you like to explore? Because if you're curious about it, I'm curious about it, and if we are, trust me, other people are too. And it's so fun to explore the brilliance that this universe is. So drop me a line, hello@donnielle.com, DONNIELLE.com, and let me know what you are curious and are wondering about. All right, so today we're talking about, hey, what if you're the gift? Now, you notice I didn't say in the title, hey, what if you're a gift and it makes other people not a gift? No. What if you're a gift? Each one of you. What if I'm a gift? What if my producers are a gift? What if all the other people on this network, all the other amazing shows are a gift? Not because we're doing shows, but because we just exist. What if you're just a gift because you exist? Because that's what it is. And would you let that essence and brilliance and gloriousness of you be seen and shared with the world? I'm not asking you to do more. I'm just asking you to allow yourself to be you. Okay? And you know me, I always have tips. I love my tips. Because, one thing I learned in business early on, I learned it from my sweet mom, right? Who's so brilliant. She always talked about ego. She always judged herself as not being smart enough. But she was dyslexic. And, she grew up in a time when if you were dyslexic, they just called you stupid. And so she never thought she was as brilliant as she is, because she is brilliant, right? And I learned from my sweet mom, never present a problem without having the solution as well. And so, I took that into business. And every time I went to a manager, like when I was a promotion manager and marketing manager for a TV station, I never went to the general manager with a problem without also going, okay, and here's how I'm going to fix it. So this is why I like my tips. Almost every show has tips, because I'm like, okay, here's all this information. And then here's the tips on how to play with it a different way. Because it's not always about fixing it, but it's always tips to help you acknowledge yourself. It's tips to help you be the gift that you truly are. All right. So here we go. In no uncertain order and not even numbered. Here we go. So the first one, stop waiting to be chosen. This is ego central. I can only be me if other people see it, and then if they choose me, they can find it acceptable, and then I know I can actually think this part of myself is all right, and it's not being superior, but it is allowed. There's a lot going on when we think, oh, I need to be chosen. Because when you choose it, or choose me, and not just for dodgeball, but if you choose me, then I know I am acceptable. Yay, I know I'm the right amount of, I think about myself, but not too much, or, it's exhausting waiting to be chosen. Okay, so stop waiting to be chosen and choose yourself. I heard the expression a long time ago. Don't wait to be chosen, be a chooser. Speaking of bastardized, completely bastardized, whatever that is. But basically it's like, don't wait to be chosen. You be the chooser. And I suggest choosing yourself. Okay? Because waiting to be chosen is waiting for that external outside validation. And it's where that doubt of self, doubt of value creeps in. Because how many of us have been taught it's only valuable if somebody else sees it? I think it's a lot, what's interesting is I know a lot of my listeners are in other countries, so I don't know if you've ever heard of the program Sesame Street. It's a kids program here in the US or in Canada. English speaking? Don't quote me on it. Anyway, they had these two characters. One was Big Bird, and another one was the Snuffleupagus. And it was like a decades-long running joke that Snuffleupagus always disappeared right before other people saw him. Only Big Bird saw him. And so people started doubting Big Bird, thinking he was a liar and the Snuffleupagus was his imaginary friend, and oh yeah, you're just kidding yourself, right? Well, what's interesting is even at a point there was a plot line where the Big Bird went, maybe I am imagining this. If other people can't see the Snuffleupagus, then maybe I'm crazy. Okay? And it's interesting. And fast forward, the producers actually and everybody, writers, eventually got rid of that plot line because they're like, holy crap, we're teaching kids that their word won't be believed or trusted. So luckily they got rid of that plot line because they're like, whoa, that is not the message we want to send to kids. So thank you for that. But I was the era when Snuffleupagus was like a false thing. But this is an example how like Snuffleupagus was in Sesame Street was an actual physical character. But Big Bird started doubting himself because other people didn't see him. So take that with ourselves. How many of us doubt our awarenesses, our thoughts, our ideas, our accomplishments? How many of us have been taught to doubt it if it's not seen and acknowledged by another person? And then the companion with that is, I believe this is true about myself, but I fear if other people see it, they won't see it, and then it won't be true. So I'm not going to allow it to be seen because I don't want it to go away. I've done that with magic. I have done that so often, my friends, of don't show your magic, because if you doubt it and then they don't see it, you're going to be like, oh crap, it's not really true. I'm delusional. Okay? So it's a lot in this one, stop waiting to be chosen. But it is, stop waiting to be chosen and choose yourself. Let yourself know yourself so that you can actually have that, I don't like to say healthy sense of self, but hence healthy sense of self, okay? So the next tip, and this will help like feed that challenge of like notice the core of you. Notice what people feel around you, okay? People will not always remember what you say. Trust me, as somebody who talks for a living, not everybody remembers what you say, but they will remember how they feel in your presence, okay? I used to be so insulted because like I would go and hang out with like this one boyfriend and other friends or whatever, and like we'd be watching a TV show or whatever, and they'd fall asleep. I'd be like, am I so boring? And then I finally started looking around. I went, oh, they're relaxing. People could relax when they were around me. They found it comforting. And in our high stressed world, the second they relaxed, they went to sleep. So now I'm like, okay, cool. That's cool. I've had to modulate that a little bit. So in my classes, not everybody is asleep. But the point is, when looking at like that core of who you are, notice how people feel around you. Because again, they won't remember what you say, but they will remember how they felt. Did they feel comfortable? Did they feel welcome? Right? Because so often when we're trying to reject ourselves, Other people feel that rejection. They think we are rejecting them when we're rejecting ourselves, but they don't know that. So they think we're rejecting them. So if nothing else, don't reject yourself so other people don't think you are rejecting them. There you go. There's a life hack for you. But do people feel calm? Do they soften around you? Do they feel safer? Do they feel braver? Right? Do people love it when you hold their hand? This is not an accident. This is part of the gift that who you are. Some of that just core being and the gift that you are. Speaking of gifts, we're going to a commercial break so I can drink some water. All right, so my friends, you are listening or watching the Exploration of Wonder on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
Ever feel like there's more to life than meets the eye? A sense of wonder just beyond your grasp? Are you ready to create a life that inspires you so much that each day you are excited to wake up and live it? Join Donnielle Carter, a nationally board-certified health and wellness coach, weekly as she explores the universe on the exploration of wonder. Explore everything from harnessing the power of your mindset to connecting with your intuition and harnessing the energetic forces around us. With a blend of humor, warmth, directness, and a dash of cheekiness, Donnielle shares easy-to-use, pragmatic, yet magical techniques you can implement immediately to infuse your life with wonder. Join us as we navigate the fascinating landscapes of the seen and unseen, and together create lives filled with joy, purpose, and boundless possibility. This is the Exploration of Wonder with your guide, Donnielle. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to hello@donnielle.com. Now back to the exploration.
Welcome back, my friend, to the Exploration of Wonder, and today we are exploring, what if you are the gift? What if just you being you and walking through the world makes you a gift? Not because of what you do, but just because you exist. Because guess what? It is. You are the gift because you just exist, not because of what you do. So we are in the tip section of how to allow yourself really to be the gift. Okay. So the next tip, get curious about what comes easily. Okay. And this is an interesting one to wrap your head around. Well, at least it was for me. Hopefully you get it faster than I did. It took me a while. But get curious about what comes easily. Because what's interesting is in this high octane fueled world, we do this. If you didn't work hard for it, it has no value. Well, let's flip that on its head, shall we? If it comes easily and you can do it really easily, then it's a talent capacity that's just yours. It doesn't make it insignificant. It just means it's aligned. There's a good metaphysical word, but it's true. Something that comes easily to you shouldn't be dismissed. It's just because you're so aligned with it that it makes it easy. So all those talents, capacities that you're like, I know, but they're so much better at this. I know I can do this, but that's easy. It's no big deal. It is a big deal. It's aligned with who you are. So celebrate that. What comes easily and develop that. Okay. Here's another one. Stop comparing your inside to someone else's outside. If we all get this, social media goes away, okay? Social media is and I'm just using an example, but just, the world at large. Social media is a very constructed scene. Whether it's a YouTube video, which, by the way, go check out my YouTube channel. It's a lot of fun. But whether it's a YouTube video or a sailing on a yacht, it's all constructed. But we treat it like it's documentary footage. That it's all true. That this is how it really happened. And this is really what it really looked like. but it's not. And yet, what do we do if we wake up and we're having a bad hair day or a bad life day? And we look at social media and we go, look, they have it so easy. They didn't wake up crying. You don't know that. So stop comparing your insides, the emotions, the thoughts, with other people's outsides. Because you don't know if before they pushed play on the button to record whatever it is, that they weren't crying, that they didn't feel alone. So we need to stop comparing. Comparing is really, like, I think it's the plague of the modern century is, yes, the new plague, comparison. Comparing oneself to another is the new plague. Heard it here first, kids. There's not a vaccination for it either, except choosing not to do it. Okay? But it is. The comparison will never be fair. Because you can't compare the unique you with the unique somebody else. Okay? And here's another tip, let yourself be seen imperfectly. What does that mean? The ego says, if I'm seen, I must be flawless. Says who? The bastardization of the ego. Social media. You know what? One of the things I've always loved about Audrey Hepburn, American actor. Actually, she was from Bosnia. Doesn't matter. Sorry. Welcome to my head. One thing I always admired about Audrey Hepburn is she never hid her imperfections. She's like, oh yeah, I'm kind of weird here, and I'm kind of like this, and I'm like, she actually hated how skinny she was. Belgium. Thank you, Christine. She was in Belgium. I knew, yeah. Audrey Hepburn, not Christine. Christine's Canadian. Hello. But she never hid her flaws. And as she grew older, she never hid that either. And as an actress, that's like taboo to be seen as older. But she just embraced it. So let yourself be seen imperfectly and embrace it. And to the day she died, Audrey Hepburn she glowed because she embraced herself. Okay. And one of the last tips I want to share, allow yourself to matter. Okay. I've talked a lot about this show about be a gift, right? You're a gift, you're a gift, you're a gift. Well, what does that mean? It means you matter. Okay. You have to do anything. You don't have to give anything. You don't even have to say anything. But you matter. Okay. Just being here on this planet, you matter. So allow yourself to matter without justification, meaning you don't have to have a reason. You don't have to earn going to bed. I'm talking to myself because I do that a lot. Like, no, I just have to get this done and then I can actually go to sleep. No. You don't have to earn that kind of stuff. You don't have to earn joy. You don't have to earn the air that you breathe. You don't have to do so much to let yourself matter. So allow yourself to matter without justification. And let me tell you until you know it, you matter. Not because of what you do, but just because you're here. You being here are the gift. Okay? I know, take a shot. Can't get too serious. But it is true. You are the gift. Just you being here, you are the gift. All right, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it helps shift some of that of like, I have to do. No, please do. But really, just allow yourself to be the gift. Because you do matter just by being here. And speaking of gifts, next week's show, please tune in. It's going to be exploring the energy of money. All right, my friends. This has been Exploration of Wonder with me, Donnielle, and I'm so excited you're being here. Make it a fun week, a happy week, a magical week, an exploration week and be back next week. I will be. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you soon.
Thank you for exploring with us today. Donnielle returns Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, 1 p.m. Pacific. Until then, be curious, be wonder, and explore the magical universe around you.